Hello, hello, hello. So, today we are doing a series of Fun Fact Friday facts, and I figured I would kind of go back and do something with my all-time favorite movie, Contagion, which, can I just put out there, was technically my favorite movie before freaking COVID outbreak, okay? I'm just saying, like, I remember in March 2009, 2020, I meant 2020, 2020. I remember everybody was like, oh my god, it's like World War Z. Oh my god, it's like Contagion. And all of a sudden, these movies that nobody liked before became super popular. Because I swear to God, I used to always be like, hey, you want to watch Contagion? And no one would want to watch it with me because they're like, it's so boring. And there's no zombies. It's literally just a movie of contact tracing, basically. So, okay, it's a lot more than a movie of contact tracing. It's basically a movie of public health and the way that it works. I'm not going to say that it's as efficient or inefficient because obviously each country has its own different way of managing a public health system. And so in the US, it operates a particular way. And in Contagion, we see how it kind of operates in the US and kind of on a global scale as well. And so it's obviously dramatized because it's a movie. But as someone who's kind of worked in and out of it, of public health, I'm not gonna lie, I find it pretty, accurate. The late nights, the lack of sleep, the poor eating. Obviously, all of that is very familiar. So anyways, the very first scene that we are gonna go over from Contagion is not the scene I wanted. There's a scene from Contagion where they're like, these two researchers are basically looking at a computer and they're like, oh my god, oh my god. And they're looking at like this thing, let me show you guys. They're basically looking at a thing on their screen that looks like this. And it's a 3D protein structure is basically what it is. And so what it is, what is this, Clinical? Why are we looking at this weird coily thing? Well, a protein is basically kind of like a larger building block of life. Like your DNA goes to an RNA and your RNA goes to amino acids, and then the amino acids turn into a protein. And we'll go into that. I'm going to do way more science videos, so don't be like, please God, I don't understand what you just said. It's okay. To be totally honest, half of my, I still to this day have to Google what's an amino acid. Like literally I spent 10 minutes trying to film a video talking about amino acids, and I was like, I don't even know what an amino acid is to talk about it to, so it's okay. So anyways, you have these amino acids that then turn, they kind of connect with one another through a series of chemical bonds, and they just basically, as they continue to connect, they kind of shelter and protect themselves through this binding. And so what happens is the more and more that you get a series of amino acids builds a protein, and it kind of wraps in on itself because of these bonds, and then you get this thing called alpha helices, which are these curlicues, and then there's something called beta sheets, which is like this one right here. Sorry if you're colorblind, you're not going to see any of the difference between the red and the green. I apologize for that. This is just the quickest example I could find. And so this here is a beta sheet, right? So back to this one, you basically then have each one of these colors represents a different protein, and they all come together into this conglomerate of different proteins. And that protein is basically what builds your cells. You are your DNA, but your DNA makes your proteins. So it's kind of you're kind of like your proteins. You're not. You're kind of like proteins, guys. You know how people are like, you're star stuff. You're made of stars. Nah. You made a DNA that making you a protein. I know it's not nearly as sexy as your star stuff. If someone comes up to you in the bar, just be like, I like your proteins. They're really working well. And then you can be like, oh yeah, this DNA combo expresses an awesome phenotype, guys. Your phenotype is what your DNA expresses. So my brown eyes is a phenotype. My brown hair, a phenotype. My skin, a phenotype. It's an actual observable expression of DNA. So one that I can see with my eyes. like, oh, you expressing the influenza virus, that's kind of a phenotype. Sorry for nerding out, guys. Happy Fun Fact Friday. So anyways, there's a scene in Contagion where they look at this 3D protein structure of the virus. I can't remember the name of the actual virus in Contagion after calling myself like the #1 fan of the movie. I will take that title. I swear to God. Like, I will take that title. I love Contagion. I am a self-proclaimed #1 fan of Contagion. So, anyways, long story short, the one that I wanted to see was when they're looking at this virus, and they basically are like, oh, looky here, look at this epitope. We can see where it slips into a different cell like a key into a lock. And that's literally it. It's literally a key into a lock. And if that doesn't just make your mind just go like, happy Fun Fact Friday, then I don't know what will. But literally, these proteins interact with each other. And that's how, like, you have, like, a virus interacting with, like, your host cell. And host cell, I mean you. You are, like, my blood cells are my host cell. They're a part of me. I'm the host of this virus. And so when a virus binds to your host cell, it's something about the combination of the viral antigens, which are proteins, and the host antigens, which are the proteins. I'll make another video of it going into antigens. And it's literally like a key into a lock. And just like that, the virus binds to a host cell, in this case you. It's beautiful. I don't even know how else to describe it other than just sheer beauty. And I love it. And I can understand if you don't like it and you're like, please God, make it stop. But anyways, that was the first scene from Contagion I wanted to show you guys. So I couldn't obviously show you that. So here we are, and now we're doing this scene from Contagion, which is good, but I'm not gonna say like it's the scene that I wanted. And it's the scene here. Okay, we'll watch it. Okay, this is where it starts, okay? You're like, oh my God, updated phylogenetic analysis. What is that, clinical? And I'm like, that's an excellent question because I'm learning what that is. So anyways, I'm sorry, I've watched this movie 1,000 times and I'm just now noticing, look at this guy. Look at his emails. Extended lab hours. What happened to this guy? Get your head around this. Check out this video. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna go into the scene now.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where did you come from?
It's mutated.
Which way, better or worse?
It's moved into an African HIV/AIDS population. The Durban cluster is highly divergent.
Okay, this is not the fun part. We're gonna go back to it because I was turning up the volume. Okay, ready? There. This thing. Why is he freaked out? Why is he like, oh my God, what's going on? Why do I need to make an immediate call? This is what we call a phylogenetic tree. I know that's a mouthful, and it is. But what it is it's something that basically looks at the family. It looks at like the evolutionary change of a virus, right? So you have your root, which is like the very first virus, right? Like that first strain that you get. And the strain is kind of like, let's say like for the COVID pandemic, and someone gets infected with the first infection of SARS-CoV-19, right? And so what happens is as that virus propagates through different people, there's a likelihood that it can mutate, right? So everybody is different. Everybody is different. And so there's a chance that as the virus continues to propagate through your body, it might make a mistake and change its genetic code, i.e. a mutation. And so what happens is if that mutation is more successful than the previous line or strain, I'm going to use that very loosely, then what happens is that mutation becomes the dominant infectious one, if that makes sense. So let's say that mutation is more successful at taking over host cells, propagating its DNA and then releasing more viruses, then that is going to become a dominant strain of the original virus. And then what happens then is it creates another branch in that tree. And so obviously, I feel like I'm saying these things and I don't want people to be like, if I am saying it incorrectly, please reach out to me and correct it. But I'm almost certain this is true. Not true, but this is theory. So anyways, that's what we see here. So we kind of see this original strain. And I know it's going to be really small, especially like if you're on mobile and you're like, thanks, clinical. And then it branches off into like this green, so that's a separate strain. So here is where the original strain branched into two, and then we see that that strain then branched into another. So each one of these is a mutation that happens to be successful enough to propagate and become it's like another strain of that original virus. And so this is another scene that I feel like outside of Contagion, which I feel like is my favorite. And even when I used to, can I also just put that out there? Like, I feel like the actual public health side of things is really accurate. And when I first watched Contagion, I was like, why do people listen to the blogger? He makes no sense. Like, there's a blogger in Contagion who's like, don't listen to them. It's a government conspiracy. Don't, you know, I used Forsythia, which is a treatment that he thought worked, which we'll go into that in a later science video. But I just feel like it could be a placebo effect. So this guy's just taking Forsythia and he thinks that he's getting better, and therefore he's convinced himself that Forsythia is the reason that he's getting better, when it could just be he's got a wonderful immune system and he's naturally fighting off the virus that he's been infected with. 2, which is the case of the movie, he never even had the virus to begin with. He confused like a common cold with the actual virus, and he's like, I took Forsythia and it helped. So I'm just saying that for all groups involved, there's always a lot of different research that goes into it, and you have to take that into account, that there's like me changing my diet and also taking a treatment like Forsythia might be why I'm like, I might be like, well, it's the Forsythia that made me get over this virus, but in reality it's like me changing my diet. Like there's like, you do a lot of things on the day-to-day like basis, so you can't just be like, this is the single-handed cause and the treatment or whatever. So I'm gonna not get into that now because this is a Fun Fact Friday video. But that's ultimately the scene here. And what I was getting at was, I feel like I originally, when I watched this movie, I didn't think that the blogger was a very accurate depiction of how things go. And then we had COVID-19. I keep calling it, it is COVID-19. And to be honest, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I understand now why they put the blogger into the movie. I'm American. So, anyways, the next scene that we have is another really great, it's spoiler alert, if you have not seen the movie, do not watch this, because this is how it actually spreads in the movie. Okay, so it's like the end scene, which I'm just gonna say is pretty accurate. I'm really into it. It's a simplification of a lot that goes on. Oh my god, no! Is it like shrunken? A little bit. Hold up. You guys are like, why are you posting a video that you didn't even come prepared for? Do I look like I come prepared? Do I look like I'm ever prepared for these guys? Like, seriously. Are you ever like, oh my god, clinical, you're so prepared? When has anyone ever said that? All the time. I'm so prepared, guys. I'm getting hungry. Okay, so it's a bat, right? If you notice, the first part was deforestation. And the bat's eating the banana, so he wants to eat it. Oh no, he dropped the banana. Oh no, a pig's eating it now. Oh my god. Oh, look at those, they're so cute. And now this guy's like, oh, I want to eat this banana. I will go more in depth as to all of these, because this is actually, there's a lot that they're showing here that is like reservoirs. For instance, human, like you can have a bat reservoir, a pig reservoir, all of these like animals that can house human transmissible disease. Right? So there's the pig, he's wiping his hands, he's not washing his hands. And there is Patient Zero, Gwyneth Paltrow, who I feel opinionated against because you shouldn't shove yoni eggs. It's not healthy. Okay, so Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay, this is a weird YouTube video. That was the end. That was the scene that I really wanted to show you guys, right? So if you notice, the bat ate the banana, right? So what they're trying to depict there, this is going to be a much longer Fun Fact Friday video than I wanted. They're basically trying to depict that deforestation. So as we need more resources, as we need more wood in this case, we're cutting down a lot of natural habitat for a lot of these what are called reservoirs. So that bat is a reservoir because it houses a disease that then can be transmissible to humans through a series of mutations or whatever. Don't quote me on that. I'll do a later video where I'll actually research a little bit more in depth. So anyways, you basically then have this bat and he's eating the banana, and as he's doing that, he's getting his saliva all over the banana, right? And so we are to assume that the viral particles that the bat is infected with, so the bat could be a host, a carrier, meaning he might not express symptoms of the disease, so he might actually just be like, hi, I'm a bat and I have this disease, but I don't feel sick. So maybe he does feel sick and he's just flying around and he's like, well, I'm sick, but I gotta eat because I don't got no mama to come in and give me some soup, mama or daddy, whoever's giving you soup, or your baby daddy, whoever doing it. And so anyways, the bat then gets the viral particles in its saliva all over the banana. And again, we're supposed to assume, I think, through deforestation that he flew into a local farm because that was an area where he could eat in peace, And so he drops the banana into the pig pen, and lo and behold, Mr. Piggy Poo decides that he wants to eat the banana with the viral particles in the bat's saliva. And as the pig ingests them, if you think about it, if it's a highly infectious disease, yes, you have to basically reach this threshold, if that makes sense. So you have to have enough viral particles that replicate fast enough that your body doesn't kill them before they replicate, if that makes sense. So you have this threshold where your body is trying to fight off this infection, and the infection itself, in this case the virus, is replicating in your body. And then it hits this point where there's so many viral particles that you begin to feel symptoms, i.e. a runny nose or a fever. And these things are common symptoms for a lot of different viruses. Like you have your rhinovirus family, which is usually tied to the common cold, or you have influenza A, influenza B, all of those. They're beautiful things and they're so awesome. Viruses aren't alive or dead, guys. They're literally just proteins and genomes. Not genomes, genes. Or RNA. Or they are just proteins. They could just be like a prion where they're just proteins. That's a side tangent. Okay, so anyways, long story short, because I feel like I'm just droning on. The bat drops the banana, the pig eats the banana, he gets enough viral particles in the pig that then the human touches the pig and its salival particles. So I'm assuming that the saliva must house the viral particles in this movie. Because if you think about it, there's some viruses where saliva usually is a vector, so it's gonna I don't know if I'm using vector correctly, but I believe I am. It's gonna transmit, so you kiss someone and the saliva passes and then you get the viral particles. Some of them I think are only through seminal fluid and things like that, which is sperm. And so an STI. But don't quote me on that. I think that's also still salival. Whatever. So anyways, the pig gets it, the guy touches the pig, and then he goes and he touches Gwyneth Paltrow's hands. So I feel long story short, Fun Fact Friday, I do think that this is plausible, and I think it's kind of a simplified version of what actually happens, but I don't know. I think that's a really interesting concept, and we will definitely go more into it in other videos, and you can not watch them if you don't want to. I'm sorry if you don't want to listen to my science topics, but that's okay. So anyways, I happy Fun Fact Friday, guys. I wanted to share with you some of my favorite Contagion scenes, and okay, that's only 2. I could show you the whole movie. The whole movie is my favorite Contagion scene. But anyways, we learned about proteins today, guys. We briefly learned about reservoirs, and we learned that bloggers do make a difference in information and the propagation of information. Propagation like the spread. Alright guys, happy Fun Fact Friday. If you have any information that you would like to share with me in maybe a more tangible, like understandable way than just ranting clinical, then go ahead and reach out over Discord. Like seriously, let me know. We have a Fun Fact Friday channel, so go ahead and share any sort of fun facts that you would like to. And seriously, have a wonderful Friday, happy weekend, and I will see you soon. And I do mean that. I will see you soon. With hopefully The Last of Us, but I don't have PS4. And the PS5's there. Okay, I'm not going down that road. I will talk for another 40 minutes. Anyways, happy Friday, guys. See ya. Auf Wiedersehen.